Hidden Object Guru here, joined by...
The Unabridged Gamer.
Do you know why I have called you tonight?
I have absolutely no clue.
Okay, good. That's exactly as I intended it. So, I, as always, am looking for work. Stop by LinkedIn looking for, well, I didn't stop by. They send me the list of jobs every day, none of which I'm, capable of applying for because they're all just ridiculous nonsense that has the word writing somewhere in the job description. So, they have no idea what I'm looking for, who would be looking for me. It's all a waste of time. But I saw a job today that disturbed and upset me. And I need you to tell me whether I am right to be freaked out and upset by this. Are you ready to do that?
As someone who almost got hired by a cult to do their Facebook PR, yeah, sure.
You're the perfect person in that sense. Okay. The job is called AI Game Designer Dialogue for IO Interactive. IO Interactive. Yup. All right, I'm just going to read this to you. IO Interactive is currently looking for an AI game designer, Dialogue, to join Project 007, a brand new James Bond video game to be developed and published by IOI. Featuring a wholly original Bond story, players will step into the shoes of the world's favorite secret agent to earn their 00 status in the very first James Bond origin story. That's not true. Casino Royale, James Bond origin story. Young James Bond, whole series of books of him being a student at Eton. James Bond Origins, popular comic book series about James Bond in World War II. There are so many James Bond origin stories. And you could say, well, they meant origin story video game. There's a Casino Royale video game, so that's also not true. But anyway, that's not the point.
I will say, just real quick as a caveat, to those going, wait, was there? It's like, yes, it's called Quantum of Solace, but they were barely allowed to use anything from Quantum of Solace, so it really is a Casino Royale game.
The movie was just coming out, so they weren't allowed to have most of the movie in the game. So yeah, I would say most of the levels are from the Casino Royale. It's kind of amazing, actually. All right, in this role, you will be the linchpin between our design and narrative teams, championing the importance of AI dialogue in our games. You will collaborate closely with our writers, designers, and QA team to ensure seamless integration of narrative elements into gameplay. We're looking for someone who can foster efficient, productive relationships between writers and designers and bring a confident voice to the AI dialogue process. Yep.
So, now here's the one thing that I do feel needs some clarification on. Is, they haven't said the word generative.
They haven't.
And that is crucial here because Havoc recently had something that was called essentially AI or whatever, that they've now changed to a different name to make clear that it's not generative AI.
I certainly hope it's not.
There is actually a plausible chance here. There is a plausible chance here. I will be the devil's advocate for a minute that they might just mean writing for the background AI characters or anything, because there is a lot of writing that goes into every Hitman game. A lot of characters saying an immense amount of filler dialogue that might be hints. It might be also. So there is entirely the chance that this is just poor wording on their part, because crucially, none of the job description has explicitly said that it requires using generative AI. They didn't cite ChatGPT or anything like that, so there is a chance.
Oh no, there is a chance.
So
here's what the job description is: serve as the key liaison between the design and narrative teams, advocating for the importance of AI dialogue. That's a little iffy. Collaborate with writers, designers, and QA to develop and implement compelling narrative experience. That's just gibberish. Champion the AI dialogue team's needs and requirements to the game design team. Utilize engine knowledge to set up test cases and custom triggers for dialogue systems. Communicate effectively with the technical team to address any AI-related issues and requirements. Stay up to date with industry trends and advancements in AI dialogue technology. So best case scenario. Best case. They want a system to dynamically decide when a line needs to be said, rather than having to painstakingly code every trigger. And every line of dialogue that's said is something that a writer has written and an actor has recorded. That is the best case for what they're describing here. I worry that that's not what they're describing here.
I get that completely, because, yeah, there's entirely the chance that that could not be the case, and that they could instead be making what was previously one of my more anticipated games on the horizon sound really, really troubling. But
what I will say is, I think the worst case scenario, I don't want to be a doom and gloom guy here. I think the worst case scenario is they want, so short history lesson. I was going to say that IOI is famous for having bad incidental dialogue from NPCs, but they're not famous for it. I think I'm the only person who's made a video about this, about like their habit of like having not very good dialogue, and no matter where you go in the world, everyone just has the same generic London accents, because they put no work whatsoever. Some of them are American, but weirdly, most of them, like if you go to America, you get American accents. If you go anywhere else in the world, London accents. They put in no work into localizing people's accents in this game. I'm talking about all the Hitman World of Assassination. And by the way, it's the world of assassination, so you'd think they would get that part right?
I will say that I think they did actually work in some Middle Eastern accents.
Oh, eventually
I've only played like season 1 of...
Okay.
Yeah, I recall there being Middle Eastern accents when you had to like take out that one dictator or whatever.
Because I spent a lot of time in that mission where there's the where you're walking around the market. Is it Marrakesh? That one? When you're in the market and there's a riot going on, and then you have to infiltrate the embassy. Yeah, there's a lot of people. There might have been a few Middle Eastern accents. There's a ton of people with British accents in that sequence. Like, ridiculous. Not as bad as Thailand, but pretty bad. But I'm getting away from the point. I think worst case scenario, they want to have a system that like just generates the random people on the streets reactions to what you're doing dynamically. So people are constantly hearing new lines and they don't need to write and record those lines. And the horror to me is that means AI making up the lines. That means AI voices voicing the lines. That means them recording somebody's voice, or like recording 50 people's voices, paying them once, and then the computer just uses their voices to say the lines that are being dynamically generated by the incidental. I don't imagine that this could possibly mean, I'm hoping, any of the actual narrative of the game's dialogue is being done by AI. I think worst case scenario is no one is going to write or record a line of dialogue for any of the crowds in the game, or like when you're walking down a hotel hallway and you bump into a bellhop or a maid, they have a incidental line of dialogue. Now, it used to be you would have to write that and someone would have to record that, and that reaction would have to be coded into the game based on a set of parameters, right? How is James Bond dressed? Is James Bond holding a gun? Is he holding a knife? Blah, blah. And you'd have to have all of these different reactions. I think they would want to just have it react dynamically in real time. That is my worst case scenario version of this.
Okay, but you actually raised a point that also could potentially lean against that being what they're going for, specifically being that they're looking for someone to be an advocate on behalf of the narrative department, that the people actually trying to write this stuff. So
no.
That does make you wonder.
You're remembering it wrong. Advocating for the importance of AI dialogue is the job. No. Okay. Yes. They'd be working with the narrative team, and their job would be to advocate for the importance of AI dialogue. That seems like someone who's being asked to be a cheerleader for the concept of putting writers out of work. Again, hopefully this isn't what they mean. Hopefully I'm overreacting. I've done it before, but I'm just reacting to what this sounds like.
It doesn't sound great. It also leaves enough holes, though, that just like... Because the thing is, I've seen some studios be very blatant about this. Ubisoft has been in no short term's very, very excited about all of the AI generative stuff. They've already used things like auto-tuning voices and everything so they don't have to make multiple voiceovers. In Watch Dogs Legion, they already have shown that they are very on board with this concept.
Oof.
Square Enix also was already using AI for marketing the Foam Stars game. Like, there are some companies that have made it very clear that they are very cool with it, and it's taken all kinds of forms, because, like, I've been told that Firmament also has AI-generated stuff. Apparently, it was only using samples from their own internal studio, though. They weren't stealing from people. Like, they were supposedly trying to make it seem more artificial.
Okay.
Whether or not that actually paid off and was in any way worth the bad press of people hearing that there was AI-generated stuff in it, that's a whole other conversation. But, overall, it's just like, I've spoken with former IOI developers, like when they were working on Echo, Ultra, may it rest in peace, and in general, my experience with their overall design philosophy was always efficiency more than anything, like trying to be as efficient as possible to work smarter, not harder, which could potentially lead to them trying with AI.
I gotta say, in fact, that is the exact, bio of someone who, I assume, would try to replace a huge thousands of pages of scripting and hundreds of hours of recording with code.
Let me finish here.
Please.
But with Ultra, in their case, that actually led to them trying to be more economical with the content that they were producing, as opposed to trying to replace it or anything like that. That there was a lot more specific prioritization, and that's part of what I even wonder with in regards to the world of assassination. It's like, yes, it's ridiculous that the background audio doesn't shift as much from country to country, but when I think about most people talking about World of Assassination, they're marveling at the different things you can do mechanically, and I've been far less concerned overall with accents and such like that. So,
you're absolutely right.
I really want to see.
That is why I worried. The fact that this isn't a high priority thing is why I worry they would go AI with it the same way Ubisoft is with the street dialogue in Watch Dogs, right?
Oh, it wasn't just street dialogue. I'm saying that flat out, the playable characters that you can choose will actually have their voices auto-tuned. Like, it wasn't AI generated, but they will just do different auto-tune over, like, there's like somewhere between a dozen to half a dozen different real personalities that have unique dialogue, and after a certain point, you will see repeated lines and personalities. They'll just change the pitch and such.
You see, that's not as bad as...
Yeah.
I had heard they were looking into making all of the street dialogue generative.
Oh, they are looking at stuff like that. They are. I don't know if they're one of the companies that was showing off that demo of completely AI, like, conversations or whatever. There was some apparently GDC demo that...
and there was that god-awful NVIDIA presentation with...
Yeah.
With an AI, with a fully AI conversation, where this chef has to go have you meet a guy, but we haven't scripted any of the lines. He just naturally has the conversation where he awkwardly gives you a quest. He has no personality and is not memorable in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You can naturally talk to him. So you can say uninteresting things, so he can say uninteresting things back. The future of gaming. Sorry. I'm a little freaked out about this. All right, so thank you for joining me on this.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me for this. You understand why I'm freaked out, hopefully. And maybe, hey, you know what? Again, maybe I'm overreacting in my horror at this, and hopefully, like you said, it's the best case scenario, and they just want, like, someone to do, to use AI to, I don't know, somehow automate how various lines are triggered. Maybe that's all it means, and if that's all it means, Great. Very happy to hear it.
It's like, I'm really hoping, as my very final statement here is just like, I'm really hoping that they are just using AI in place of NPCs, because I have seen that happen a lot, where just like, the way people categorize things has still not really become standardized in certain parts of the industry. So I'm really, really hoping that's the case.
Okay.
If it's not, then absolutely I am very concerned.
And for me, even for me, replacing NPCs, I'm still horrified by that, because that's, a couple hundred less hours a writer is getting paid to write, and that's 100 fewer hours the voice actors are getting paid to record. And editors, and it's like, that is putting people out of work. And I'm not saying you should spend infinite money, but I'm saying you probably got a decent amount of money throw around. This is a James Bond game.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for joining me. We will be back here soon with more things that I'm upset about, at least. You were very much better natured than me about this, which I really respect. Thank you so much for coming by, Unabridged.
No problem. I gotta hope.
Well, I like a bit of rebellious spirit.
Rebellious spirit? Look, we're not even allowed up there without an armed escort.